Tonight on Let It Rip.
Facebook knows that they are leading young users to anorexia content.
A whistleblower tells Congress that Facebook is harming young girls and dividing the country. Meanwhile, local school officials are warning parents about TikTok after some users were caught enticing kids to commit crimes.
The challenge is to video record yourself hitting a staff member.
Is it finally time to get tough on the social media giants? Or is it already too late? Time to Let It Rip on the panel tonight. He's a journalist, a commentator, and one of the most influential creators of content in broadcasting and online. Roland Martin is back. Also with us, clinical psychologist and retired professor from the University of Detroit Mercy, Dr. Cheryl Mundy, a psychiatrist who has treated the patients sometimes hooked on our social media addiction, Dr. Gerald Shiner. Also with us, David Derajotis, one of the country's leading experts on cybersecurity and liability. And as always, anchor attorney Charlie Langton. But we begin the discussion tonight with attorney Mark Beckman, CEO of the Organization for Social Media Safety. Mark, your group was founded after an attack that left one teen badly injured and an incident that left another teen dead. But the common thread for both these tragedies was social media.
Exactly. So in 2016, Jordan Pleisner was at a local fast food restaurant in California with some friends when he was brutally attacked by another teen that he did not know. During that attack, an associate of the attacker filmed it and then uploaded it to social media where it went viral. I was the chief of staff or a member of the California State Assembly at the time. So what we did was we developed a law in California called Jordan's Law after Jordan Pleisner to deter this new issue of social media motivated violence, attacks committed for the purpose of filming them and putting them on social media. And we were able to pass that in less than a year. And we looked around at the landscape and realized that there was no consumer protection organization exclusively focused on social media safety out there. So we founded the Organization for Social Media Safety. So we protect against all social media related dangers, from hate speech to cyberbullying to harassment and new emerging dangers. So you mentioned another child whose family we work with who was affected by social media. So substance abuse, a big exploding issue over the course of the past year and a half during the pandemic. Dr. Laura Berman had a 16-year-old son named Sammy. You may have seen this report in the news. Sammy was at home like a lot of 16-year-olds during the pandemic. He was bored. He went onto a social media platform called Snapchat. He connected with a drug dealer, which, by the way, is very easy to do these days. It takes the Organization for Social Media Safety about 3 minutes each time we test this to connect with a drug dealer, get a drug menu like Sammy did. Sammy ordered some Xanax from the dealer, who delivered it much like just ordering a pizza. Unfortunately, that Xanax was tainted with an opioid called fentanyl, which dealers are using these days to make drugs more addictive. This also, combined with this issue of social media accessibility for drugs and to drugs, is this growing issue of opioids. So that fentanyl, unfortunately, is incredibly lethal at small doses, and Sammy tragically took it and passed away. So Dr. Laura Berman has now joined our board of directors and is working with us. We're working on several pieces of legislation to combat this issue as well, and certainly educating students and parents across the country on various social media related dangers.
But you know, I think what was shocking to many of us, especially regarding the testimony from yesterday by Frances Haugen, was that Facebook is ubiquitous, Roland. It's everywhere. We all use it. But that testimony also revealed how Facebook may be allegedly playing us all.
Yeah, and which is why you have to have regulation, which is why you've got to treat Facebook like a utility. And what they've done is they've tried to dance on both sides, depending upon what the issue is. Oh, no, we're like a news organization. And another, no, we're like a tech organization. But they have grown they're in such size that you have to deal with that. If you go back in history, look at what Teddy Roosevelt did, and you look at in terms of dealing with the monopolies and breaking them up, there's a reason why they were broken up. There's a reason why Rockefeller Oil, there's a reason why the Baby Bells were broken up, because of their dominance. And so the problem here, and I'm telling you right now, I don't know how many people actually believe Facebook by saying, oh, no, we didn't really do anything with the algorithm. I can tell you, as somebody with a digital show where we stream on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and with my OTT channel, Black Star Network, this is a fact. I have had users, even my own digital guy, who doesn't get our own live notifications when we go live. And Facebook, he says, oh, there's a glitch in the system. No, it's not. They're trying to force me to pay to boost to my followers. We know that. I've been busting them for 2 years now. They are able to rig the algorithm to make more money for them. And that's what she was saying in her testimony. And that's why that was so critically important.
Dr. Monday, we also hear that more women than men use Facebook, and that young women, especially teenage girls, can be traumatized by what they read online. Why is that?
Well, thank you for having me, Huel. And, you know, this is a very timely topic. As has already been pointed out, social media is everywhere. It's in our lives. And with the pandemic, its prominence has even increased. So when I talk to parents about social media and their young people, I'm also talking about development. And when we talk about young girls, we're often focusing on adolescents or teenage girls. And adolescent development, I say to parents, hinges on, you know, their buddies' bodies and brain. And what I mean by that is that adolescents are social beings like the rest of us. And this is a time when they're trying to figure out who they are and what they want to become. And they really do that by establishing themselves among a peer group. So social media is an outlet then for teens to really explore and develop relationships, to really get a sense of who they are. And they really manage that then. A crucial task is, how do they manage their self-acceptance and how do they manage approval from others? So what we see in social media then is a world where teens can do that. But the challenges are that some of the issues around self-acceptance and approval are very prominent in social media. So the number of likes can become a measure of a teen's total self-worth, in the same way that a negative public response can be just totally humiliating. And we know, of course, that adolescents are going through physical changes, are really growing into their comfort with adult sexuality, the adults that they want to be. Who are they? Are they attractive? Who are they attracted to? So adolescents are very much focused on appearance, not only managing their sexual interest and behavior, but learning to negotiate real world consequences. So when we think about the challenges of social media, one of the big challenges, how do teens learn about what is normal, what's appropriate, what are their family's particular values that they are trying to understand and reject or accept. But other issues around social media for teens then is, how do they negotiate and navigate the sexualized content, which is kind of pervasive?
And Dr. Mundy, I hate to interrupt you, but I want to get some other people in here. But that's one of the bigger problems, Dr. Shiner. It's also shocking to realize too, though, that the same social media platform that gives these young women and men such joy also gives them such pain. And yet it seems to tap into the same mental network as drug addiction. How is that possible?
Every minute we spend online, every time we go online, we see a post, we see a like. That gives us a little spurt of dopamine, that gives us a little bit of pleasure. We think we're having impact on other people. Dr. Mundy pointed out that with the quarantine, kids are isolated, they're lonely, they don't go to face-to-face school, and social media is a way to connect. They don't have a sense of what's normal. Every kid remembers in high school, someone shows up with a cool pair of gym shoes, a cool jacket. Within a week, 5 or 6 kids have the same thing, and kids learn what's normal by watching each other. When they see things on Facebook, hurting other kids and laughing about it, exposing themselves, sending intimate pictures, meeting older men, being vulnerable to predators, those things become a new norm. And kids take this on as something cool to do or something exciting to do. And they find themselves in trouble or doing hurtful things to other people. And all free speech is not free. It comes with a price. And the limits of free speech are whether this can do harm to others. And the vicious social approval, disapproval system, and the defining of normal, whether it's hypersexual or whether it's hyperviolent, can be dangerous and can be harmful to the vulnerable parts of the Facebook or social media audience.
David, Mark Zuckerberg responded to the accusations by simply saying they're not true. Now, in your estimation, are the titans of social media unaware of what's going on in the real world, or do they simply not care?
Maybe if we all just stayed on MySpace, we wouldn't be in this problem right now. But I think it's important for us to take a look at the track record of Facebook. Looking at their character, looking at what they've done in the past could maybe help tell what the story may be today. So if you just go back to 2011, look at the FTC consent decree that was in place, there were a number of privacy allegations, and they came against them for being lack of truthfulness, being lack of transparency with the public. So just a couple of things, in 2011, the FTC said that, well, Facebook, you're not being transparent with your privacy practices. You're making users' private information public, like in some cases it was friends lists. If you look at some of the apps that information that was accessible to these third-party apps through Facebook, Facebook was less than transparent about the amount and the quantity of data that was accessible, deleted profiles that you were still able to access videos and pictures. And then let's not forget, in 2014, this little quiz called This Is Your Digital Life collected information on 270,000 people, but that number turned into more than 67 million when it was handed off to a little company called Cambridge Analytica. So there have been very shady practices with Facebook and a number of large technology companies for that matter. This shouldn't be surprising. Their moniker was always move fast and break things. Unfortunately, today, I think the only thing that they continue to break is all of our trust.
Charlie, you also know there's an app called TikTok, most of it filled with fun and games and music, but some TikTok users are tonight challenging young students to steal or destroy school property and post the videos online. So what should happen to those kids, and what should happen to TikTok?
Well, the easy one is the kids. First of all, the kids that do a crime, that's easy. That's a no-brainer. If someone goes in there, steals something from someone, or violates a school property of some kind of that's a no-brainer. They're going to get arrested. The more difficult issue, though, is what role does social media play in encouraging people? And honestly, I don't think the laws have caught up yet to what's really going on. I think social media is so prevalent today that it does have an influence on us. And I think that we do have to regulate social media if social media is not going to regulate itself. And I would like to see some of these people that own social media say, you know what, we've got to be the police people around and make sure that social media is not encouraging illegal behavior or somehow saying something that is just not correct. More so is the encouragement for me is the illegal a crime. And if social media is going to perpetrate that, I think they all have some responsibility, and the law should step in because Congress will. There's no doubt in my mind.
All right, panel, we've got to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk about this enormous problem and how to fix it. And what would that fix do in terms of our right to free speech? That and more as Let It Rip continues. Hard to imagine that this multi-billion-dollar media giant started as just a website built by a young Mark Zuckerberg in his dorm room at Harvard University. Back in 2003, he called it Face Mash, where photos of students would appear and users could check whether they were hot or not, and also learn a little bit about their majors. Today, Facebook is used by 2.9 billion people and growing. And so, Mark, let me begin with you. How do we control the monster that it's become?
It is the question right now, right? And this is our one and only mission, to make social media safe. So as a consumer protection organization, our answer to that is having 3 different programmatic departments. We do education. So that's educating parents, students, and educators on these social media related dangers, and there is a lot of them. Technology development, working on software and apps that provide real-time protection against any and all of these dangers. And then advocacy, as we've talked about a little bit here, making sure that our laws are keeping pace with these evolving dangers and the changes in this social media technology. So I'll highlight one of those advocacy efforts here. I know we have a time limit and a lot of guests here. So let me highlight one, and that's Sammy's Law. So that's named after Dr. Laura Berman's son. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz is spearheading this initiative in the House. And what Sammy's Law would do is it would require all social media platforms that have children users to give parents the option to use third-party safety software. And what third-party safety software can do is monitor children's social media accounts and provide parents with really life-saving alerts should dangerous content come across their social media screens. So in Sammy's case, for substance abuse, this type of software could have been the deterrent to Sammy connecting with that drug dealer and purchasing drugs, or allowing his parents to get involved right at the essential time.
Dr. Shiner, Dr. Mundy, there are some people who say that we should regulate social media like tobacco or alcohol. If you're under 18, you can't use it. And Dr. Mundy, I've heard you say that you've told some classes simply turn it off.
Well, I think we need to appreciate that there's not going to be one regulation that will solve every problem. And so there's the level of regulation that goes across the industry. But I think that most parents want help in providing guidance to their children, to their teens. And so this is where I think one size fits all may not be appropriate. As Mark already mentioned, there are ways in which we can give parents the information that they need to be able to step in and exercise some judgment on behalf of their kids when it comes to the use of the technology. There are also things parents can do just within the scope of their family situation, such as saying, well, there's only a certain period of time when young people can use social media, to insist on taking breaks, for example, to encourage their youngsters to have a balanced social life that's not restricted to social media. And I think in particular, we need to give parents the tools that will allow them to protect their children, because social media is so pervasive. Once something is on social media, it's very difficult to pull it back. And I think parents often feel helpless on behalf of their children to not being able to intervene in a way where they can feel like they're really having some control and influence. But there are obviously things that can be done at every level.
When it's out there forever, but parents can monitor. They can look at their kids' friends list, they can see the pictures that they post, and they can take an active part in advising their children. And if they have younger children, monitoring their children. That's a little tricky with a teenager, because teenagers value privacy and they need to put a wall up to separate from their parents. But those things are still open to parental viewing, and parents should have the ability to ask their kids about what's going on and confront them. I also think that holding the platforms responsible for the kind of information they let people post, and some people get things taken off. This is a false post. This isn't true. We fact check this. I think we need to have the platforms do more of that. And I think that they have to be held responsible if someone's beaten up, or if someone buys drugs, or someone is abducted by a human trafficker, and it's monitored through Facebook, or the initial contacts are through social media. The social media platform has to bear some responsibility. And when they say that they're doing something to stop it, they're not going to say anything else. They're not going to ignore it. They have to say that, but I think we have to hold them to it.
Roland, I've heard some people say, though, that Facebook is simply a reflection of who we are as a society, that it reflects simply what we put into it. It's a blank slate, a mirror. What do you agree? You disagree?
No. First of all, look, I appreciate all the professionals, what you're saying, but all that poppycock about parental responsibility, y'all, that ain't reality. Children today are literally coming out of the womb into a social media world. They are well versed on this. It is consuming their lives. We are speaking, look, I'm Gen X, I'm 52. We are speaking from the perspective of growing up, being teenagers when there was no social media. They literally are 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old. They're engrossed in social media. We, parents, uncles, and aunts, are putting their entire lives on the very same thing we're talking about. And so the reality is, you have to treat Facebook like a public utility. The amount of data that they control, how they can alter the algorithm. Go look at the documentary Social Dilemma on Netflix to understand how they are psychologically, they are employing psychologists and others to figure out how to keep people on the platforms, not going anywhere else, because that's what drives revenue. That's what the whole testimony was about, how they manipulate the algorithms in order to drive the revenue, how they drive the content. There's no mistake why you have your top 10 most shared pages on Facebook or right-wing conservative websites. That's why Dan Bongino and Ben Shapiro are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, because how Facebook's algorithm is driving that. We can't ignore that. And so Congress has to get more aggressive, and it doesn't help. And I no disrespect to people, anybody who's over 60 years old, but when you got people in Congress who are 60, 70, and 80, who don't know a damn thing about social media, trying to regulate it, they have no idea what they're talking about. You watch some of these hearings, you're like, what world are y'all living in? It ain't 1950s. Congress has to be very tough. It has to happen.
David, how far can that new law, if it's enacted, go? The genie is out of the bottle. Can you ever put it back in?
That's a great question, Huel. And I agree partly with what Roland says, that it's more than just education, because I'm usually a huge fan of training and educating your children. But the problem is, this algorithm and the data collection practices, they're just so strong that parents and adults across the board don't understand what's happening. So they're not able and capable to provide the proper guidance and training. I think we need to have more transparency from Facebook about their data collection practices. They've gotten beat up in the past over and over again when it comes to this. We need to have more of an understanding of how the algorithm is feeding content to us. Those two things, data and the algorithm, you're going to find, I think, a solution in there.
But does that mean establishing a new federal agency to control it? Does that mean giving somebody else the power over what we see and hear?
Well, I think the courts can do it. I think Facebook has become the greatest marketing agency in the world. I mean, they can market anybody. They can take algorithm. They can find out what you like and manipulate you, because they're a great marketing agency. You got to give them some credit for that. The problem that I see, if we're going to hold social media platforms responsible, to me, the only way you can do it is if they're going beyond the law, criminal stuff. Now, if I like wine and I get all kinds of text here about wine, so what? But if I'm going to use the social media platform to commit a crime or to influence people to commit some kind of a criminal act, then I think that not only am I responsible, but I think the social media platform must be responsible. And Congress has got to step in and do something about that.
But look, you have this problem too. You had Francis Haugen testifying that Facebook removed the controls, allowing hate speech to amplify itself online just before the January assault on the US Capitol. And they did that because they knew it would keep people engaged online and that they would make more money. So although we all don't like hate, hate in some aspects online makes money. Sad to say. All right, panel, thank you for your comments and your insights. Hopefully we'll have time for final thoughts.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg, greatly.
Now, there's testimony in Congress that Facebook manipulated social media for bad things. What do you think about that?
Can't believe everything on social media.
You know, social media started off as something that was supposed to be good for society, and now with everything seems like it turns back to greed.
Do you think social media is dangerous?
To a degree, yes, I do.
I see they get brainwashed very easy by anything without any statistics or obvious evidence to back that up.
How do we solve the problem?
I don't know. So I really don't know how to solve that. But I believe in the freedom of speech.
You believe everything on social media?
No.
So should we have the government come in and put some regulations on it?
That can be dangerous, though.
What should we do?
That's the hard part. Now I say what we should do is influence more competition.
Another difficult question before us, but we're going to try to summarize it in 3 words from each of our panelists, beginning with Cheryl.
No single solution, all of the above.
Gerald.
Monitoring, accountability, and external controls.
David.
Greater transparency now.
Charlie.
Don't commit crimes.
Roland.
Regulate Facebook now. And Cheryl, that was 7 words.
Mark.
Education, technology regulation.
Well, I believe if we could put ourselves on the panel, we could certainly come up with a solution. Difficult road ahead, but we're going to try to make it to our final destination together. Panel, we thank you. We thank you for watching this edition of Let It Rip.